Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news items involving our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes, and a big shout out to all of you who have subscribed to the channel as we close in on 9,000 subscribers. Also, would like to point out all of you who have scanned the QR code and become members of the Browns' latest dog pound. And a huge thank you to all of you who get your comments down there in the viewer comment section. Now, coming up on today's show. Today's the day we've been telling you for months would come. And it's finally here. No, not cut down day. Kenny Pickett traded. His small hands and his bad hammy are on the way to the Raiders. Las Vegas, Sin City, the City of Lights. Call it what you want, but Kenny Pickett's going to be there. And now the door is swung wide open for our rookie quarterbacks. The Browns released their list of the top players of the preseason. I'm surprised by a few names that aren't on that list. Contrary to the popular belief, the Browns organization is not the most inept in the NFL. And in the viewer comments, somebody compares our rookie quarterbacks, one of them, to Baker Mayfield. But first things first, let's talk about today. It's cut down day. Today, practice at 3:30. Coach Stefanski will be there to talk about it. And some of the players who are left on the 53-man roster will be talking as well today. Tomorrow, practice at 2:30. We'll have a 53-man roster and a practice squad and all that by then. And then Thursday, practice at noon. One cut that happened already was a bit of a surprise. DeAndre Carter. I thought they would keep him around to return kicks, but that was not the case. Another person who looked like he'd be around when the 53-man roster would be settled was Kenny Pickett. But we've been telling you for months. This was the same situation we were in last year, except with four quarterbacks, except Jameis Winston was playing the part of Kenny Pickett. Now, Kenny Pickett is gone. We kept saying, I thought it would be the Saints, the Saints, the Saints. We had the vowel sound right. It wasn't the Saints. It was the Raiders. And so Pete, as soon as Pete Carroll said he wanted a veteran, I mean, it didn't make any other sense than for the Browns to send him to Las Vegas. So Pickett will back up Geno Smith because they needed him because Aiden O'Connell fractured his wrist in the final preseason game. There's a really good chance he'll be on IR. So off goes Kenny for a 5th-round pick, which is so basically you lost nothing because you traded DTR and a 5th-round pick to the Eagles. The Eagles cut DTR. We got Kenny Pickett back. We gave up a 5th-round pick. Now we send Kenny Pickett to the Raiders, and we get the 5th-round pick back. So it's like as if nothing ever even happened. The only thing that happened is we got rid of DTR. So that's over. And so now the door swings wide open for our rookie quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel, I fully expect Gabriel will be named the backup now. Because he was 3rd when Pickett was here. So he'll just slide up into QB2. Gabriel, 25 of 37 for 272 yards and a touchdown in the preseason. And, he looked good in the preseason games. You can't argue with that. But Shedeur had a great camp. 17 of 29, 152 yards and 2 touchdowns in the preseason as well. So both of these guys, have done a great job. And they deserve a shot. And we heard Jimmy Haslam, say that both of these rookies will get a chance to play. Now, the other thing that comes out of this trade is this. I mean, we have this draft pick back. And look at this. Look at the draft picks we have now going into 2026. Not only do we have our own in the first 5 rounds, we got Jacksonville, so we got the 2 number ones. We got now this extra pick in the 5th, and then the two 6th-round picks, and then the 7th-round pick. Now, those 6th and 7th-round picks, here's the thing, folks. Our quarterback situation is what it is right now. We have 2 very capable rookies, But there's nothing to say that they wouldn't package one of the some of these picks and try to move up and maybe pick up maybe another first round, maybe another second round, maybe another third round. I could see them doing something. Some people still think that they're going to try and make a move and take a quarterback in this year's draft. But we got to get through. People got to stop saying that because we've got two very capable rookies right now. And I still think Dylan Gabriel is going to be a great backup. I think Shedeur has the starter traits. And so, but I'd rather be in this situation than the situation that we've been in the past. And so I think we're going to learn from our past mistakes with Baker Mayfield and make sure our rookies are ready to play. And so this means we should see both of these guys at some point because the only thing you can do is expect the gas to run out of Flacco at some point because that's what typically happens. But like I've been saying, if he finds the fountain of youth and takes us to the Super Bowl, I'll sign me up for that. That's fine. I'm all for it. But I don't know if you can bank on that. So Dylan Gabriel, fully expect him to be QB2, and but Kenny Pickett is gone as we've been predicting for months. Now, I wouldn't have predicted this. So the Browns they put out the players that they considered they were the top players of the preseason. And so I was just surprised by a few guys who aren't on the list. And so here's the five they put out. Gabriel, center Luke Whippler, defensive end Aiden Huntington, linebacker Carson Schwessinger, and then wide receiver Gage Larvin, which I don't have a problem with that. But where's Jamari Thrash? How is Thrash not on that list? Well, Mason Graham. Now, Mason Graham, in the time I looked at, he didn't get credited with a quarterback pressure at the time he was in there. But you can already see what he's going to do for the rest of this defense. Look at Alex Wright. Look at when Miles is going to be out there. These guys are going to be freed up because they're going to have to decide who they want to double. And right now, Mason Graham's been picking up a lot of those double teams, just like we said after he got drafted. He is eating up those double teams, and it's freeing up our guys. Isaiah McGuire. He also had, just look at the Rams game. That's what's going to happen. And Mason Graham is going to be like carbon monoxide. He's going to be the silent killer inside there. He may not put up a bunch of stats, but he will definitely be doing damage because he's getting that push up front. And I'm going to say this. A guy that should be on that list is Shedeur. Shedeur Sanders should be on that list. Throw out that last preseason game. It is what it is. Who cares? But everything up until that point, man, he was just so impressive. And so, I'm surprised. Shedeur is not on that list. But, neither is Jamari Thrash. And then, so who knows? Whoever came up with this list. But I do think Shedeur, everything he did, everything they asked him to do, I think he deserves to be on that list along with Thrash and Mason Graham. Now, the trade of Kenny Pickett, the draft picks this year, all of this comes into play. The Browns organization is not inept, contrary to popular belief. We get a lot of comments in the viewer comment section that talks about how the Browns are the worst organization and they're inept and they're like the king of ineptness and this and that. But that is so far from the truth. Why? Well, this team's been to the playoffs 2 out of the last 5 years. And if you want to find a team that is most inept, I think your winner is the New York Jets. Because that team, they're a complete mess. I would put the Giants on there, but they made the playoffs recently. So, but the Jets have not been to the playoffs in 14 years. And look at their quarterback decisions. Look at a lot of the decisions that team makes. Come on. And what are they going to do with Justin Fields? Justin Fields isn't taking them anywhere. Their best chance was with Rodgers, and that flamed out. I don't think, his Achilles thing, I think that kind of upended things. But, come on, Zach Wilson, give me a break. The Falcons, then. 7 seasons, haven't been to the playoffs. The Panthers, the Bears, the Colts, and the Saints. See, if the Saints would have gotten Kenny Pickett, they had their chance. They didn't get him. The Raiders. But look at there. The Browns in 2020 and 2023 have made the playoffs. Remember in 2020, that was when Baker, we went there and we beat Pittsburgh in the wild card game, that crazy game, 48-37. That's when Stefanski was in the basement with COVID. He wasn't even at that game. And then we lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs, 22-17. We got cheated out of that game, that horrible call and it hit. So we got cheated out of that game against the Chiefs. I will never, ever not style. That is a 100% fact. And in 2023, Joe Flacco ran out of gas against Houston, and we lost to C.J. Stroud. Now listen to this, folks. Do you know who has the longest all-time playoff droughts? Not like currently, but just in the history of the NFL. There's a tie for the top. Number one, the St. Louis Cardinals, which are now the Arizona Cardinals, are tied with the Washington Redskins, who are now the Washington Commanders. Those two are tied at the top. The Cardinals from 1949 to 1974, and then the Redskins from 1946 to 1971, missed the playoffs 25 straight years. Do you know who comes in second? With a streak of 24 seasons from 1948 to 1972? The Pittsburgh Steelers. That's who. So there you go. The Steelers. The Steelers, or to me, are more inept than the Browns. Well, at least back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. So, but I'll take it. Anything we beat the Steelers at, I'm all for. Good job, Cleveland. All right, now, one thing. We traded Kenny Pickett, which we all knew was coming. But one thing that will never be traded are the viewer comments. And today we'll start with Birdshoe, who says, there's no reason to pick Dylan apart. He had a great game and improved over the previous game. That's all you can ask. Yeah. And I would say Shedeur kept improving week to week too. But yeah, Dylan had a great game. Great game the other day. I mean, he'll be the QB2. Just get ready. Get ready. He'll be the QB2. I just don't know how. I just don't think it's going to be very sustainable. I keep seeing Colt McCoy. I see Colt McCoy getting destroyed against Pittsburgh. I can just see something like that happen. The other thing with Gabriel, he's having a lot of trouble throwing the ball over the middle. And teams are going to get tape on him, and that's when it's going to get interesting. You can't keep throwing these outs. Those are just pick sixes waiting to happen. And he almost had another one against the Rams. So they're going to have to figure that out with Dylan Gabriel because of his height. That's the big knock. But, I mean, it's a knock, and he's left-handed. So you better have your right tackle because that's his blind spot. The right tackle has to take care of, not the left tackle. Usually you worry about the left tackle. Now, I do agree with this. Dave's spare time 83. This is what this Dave does in his spare time. But Dave's spare time 83 likes to put some good comments like this, good takes in the comment section. Dave's spare time says, isn't Gabriel a left-handed Baker Mayfield? I mean, in some respects, he does remind me of Baker Mayfield. Not so much on the field. It's like just his cockiness, his confidence, that kind of stuff. Like, of course, the entertainer comment, the things, that he said. That reminds me of Baker a little bit. I have thought about that. So, I mean, and he just because he's a little smaller, but Baker's bigger than he is. Baker's taller than he is. But he does. There are times where he does. I agree with that, Dave spare time. He does remind me of Baker Mayfield a little bit. Mill 6594 says, it's not the end of the road for some players who will be cut today. The preseason, just an audition for every player, and they have eyes on them from every NFL and every team in the NFL. At this point, we can almost agree that we should develop these rookies and let them get comfortable. And now we will. We're gonna push the fast forward button with Kenny Pickett out of the way. Remember, we said this last week. The only thing to do was to either put him on IR or get rid of him, because he was just in the way of our rookies. And now he's not in the way. The door is wide open now for both of our rookies. And we'll end today on Harold Hightower, who says, I think your assessment of the quarterbacks has been fair. Thank you for that. That's what I strive for, folks. Actual and factual. That's what I want here. And always never pay attention to the thumbnail. I don't do the thumbnails. Sometimes, to me, they're a little too crazy. But once you get in here, actual and factual. I call it like I see it. I'm not trying to make anything that it's not. My news experience, I look for sources, two sources. I really try to vet everything. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm happy for you guys to call me out in the comments. That's no problem. But we are in the best situation in the quarterback room that we've been in years. And so outside of that stint with Baker and the 5 games with Joe Flacco, we're in a good spot. So, Joe Flacco, these two rookies, they're both going to learn so much from Flacco. And now let Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders just battle it out. We have got a competition now. We have a competition. It is the quarterback room is settled, and we are off and running. We will be beating the Bengals. I got to get all my bets in. We will be beating the Bengals on September 7th with Joe Flacco at the helm and Dillon Gabriel, quarterback 2, and Shedeur waiting in the wings to take over as the franchise quarterback. We're off and running, folks. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Go Browns! We'll see you next time.